Maria here. Welcome back to the podcast. Today I'm going to share a little bit of my story with you, how I ended up where I'm now with Green Planet Cosmetics and why I decided to start my own business again, or my online shop, because I did found several businesses before, but that was the first time that I actually founded an online shop. So, and the first time that I did that in my home country. So, yeah, definitely a lot went down. But let's start. Probably 2010. That's when I went over to London to learn English. That was right after school, and yeah, that was fun. The best decision ever. Literally, I saved up for that one so long during school already, like after school, holiday, whenever I could, I saved up money so I could actually fulfill this dream of mine to go over to London or to the US. Like back then, I wanted to go to the States, but I couldn't. There was a whole lot of visa stuff going on already. So I was like, okay, fuck it, just stay within the EU. Easy. I can just go over there and, it's fine. So yeah, I did that. And again, so glad I did it. It was tough in the beginning. Like now, now I'm learning Spanish as well. So, but it's getting easier, not in a sense that you don't have to work anymore for it, or that you don't have to like put in the work. Like literally, it's not that it suddenly overnight appears to you, but at least you kind of know what to expect. Like the entire process of learning a language and the ups and downs, and that it comes in waves, and all the stages of being frustrated, and then being able to speak, and then feeling like so angry and like really upset with yourself, to then just a week later suddenly you get this new boost. It's literally, it comes like that. It gets downloaded, processed, and it's almost like your head's exploding, and then suddenly once it's all processed you get this like, oh wow, where did I learn that? Oh wow, how now I finally can form this and that sentence in grammatically correct. So yeah, stuff like that. And in the beginning, again, it was like, oh my gosh, I'm never going to speak and fuck that shit. And yeah, but no, yeah, again, very glad I did it. And now looking back, when I have that feeling with like Spanish or any other language, I go like, hey, remember when I was like 20 years old and I thought I'm never going to speak English, and now I do. So, it's just, it's this moment you're feeling so stuck, and you will get past it. It's just that within, like, in this little bubble of yours, in that moment, it's like, oh, I'm never going to do this. I'm never going to learn it. Fuck. But yeah, again, it will pass. And like knowing this now, it actually helps me with with the new languages. It's, yeah. So just saying. And same goes, by the way, for the business. So 2 years later, and when I was 22, I started my very first business, also in London. And yes, so I spent 6 months in London the first time, with a little break in between. So like 3 months and 3 months. And then I started my online studies. And for that, I went back to Germany and started working on film sets as well, because I knew that I'm going to learn so much more, on film sets, because that's where I wanted to be. Like I wanted to be in film, I wanted to be in the costume department, and yeah, I knew that. And I also knew that no matter what fancy degree I have, at the end, I will always have to start as an intern on the film set, which is also one of the reasons I just love it, because you really separate those who just, come and want to do it because they believe it's very glamorous, or I don't know. And then you have the people who are there, who know they're going to get their hands dirty. And it doesn't matter what piece of paper you bring, because this piece of paper doesn't tell you that you show up tomorrow, that you show up in a good mood, that you just do your best every day. And so yeah, I really loved it. And it's just I don't know, like film is just a very magic place. I did my first film. Then straight after I did the next, And then suddenly it was Christmas break, and I didn't know there was a winter break happening in film. And I was so upset. I'm like, no, but I want to keep working. What are you doing? So everyone was like very sweet on set, especially. They really take care of you. Like if you do put in the work, and if you show them that you want to be there, they will take care of you. And by the way, those ones, like the first one, I was unpaid. So I agreed to work 100 hours a week, not getting paid for it. But honestly, these guys, they couldn't have stopped me from coming. So they, even if they had said, here, take the money and go, like, don't come back, I would have said, nah, keep the money, I will come back. So yeah, again, that's how you really, figure out like you and the other, the production, let's say, because again, once you are in, people rely on you. You can't just fuck it up constantly for everyone. So you do want to make sure that you really are in for the right reasons, that you love it. And yes, it's one of the toughest jobs you can probably do, like physically and mentally. And at least the costume department, that's what I'm talking about now. So yeah, it is. You want to make sure that you love it and that's what you want to do with your time. Because honestly, you don't have much time outside of that little family of yours. So yeah, but that was perfect for me in the beginning. And again, I loved it. I wanted to learn, and I was just like hungry for the knowledge, and like just, give me everything you have. Like I just want to be there and learn and watch you guys. So I did that. And then yeah, again, when you are good, you get recommended. And that's how I stepped up the game very fast. And then as soon as I finished my studies, I was off again to London, and because I really liked it, and obviously that would be the first step before going to the States, because they have the way bigger film industry. But at least within Europe, that was a good place to start. So that's why I also decided, okay, I'm going to leave behind the little network I already built in the past 2 years in Germany, and I will now start from scratch again in London. So I I went over, and I knew like one person, and that was it. I didn't know I didn't know where I'm going to stay. And then again, that is what people usually always wanted to know before they move. But then that is one of those, like, while you are still in the other country, like you want to be like on location, you want to be in London, you want to check out the places, you don't just want to rent like a random place. I always recommend that, like, take a few weeks, book yourself into, I don't know, I was in a hostel back then, but now you can do Airbnb or whatever, and then from there you just go and check out the places and make sure that you really like the area and stuff like that. So I wouldn't just randomly book from abroad like a place to stay. Yeah, no, I don't recommend that. So yeah, that usually sounds crazy for people when I tell them that I didn't even know where to stay, but that's just what it is. That comes with it. Like, you will figure it out along the way. How can you know? Like, how can you know where you're gonna stay if you are in another country? Like, what? Yeah. So I knew I'm gonna share a flat, because otherwise, like, London is so expensive. So I knew I have to share with like two, three, four other people. So yeah, that's what I did. 2 weeks. I spent 2 weeks. No, I booked myself 2 weeks into that hostel. In the end, I moved out after a week, I believe, because I already found something. And that's what I'm saying. Like, when you have like a little agenda, you are just literally looking up all the places online, then you contact them directly, and then it's just like, one after another, and just 1 week full of viewings. And London is very easy, because everyone in London is always looking for a new accommodation, a new job, or a new boyfriend or girlfriend. So there's always a lot going on. And yeah, I think my first year I had to move 4 times, because I could only get like very short contracts. But I was like, okay, I'm just going to take it as it comes, which is good. Now I'm a little bit annoyed with that. So I wouldn't say yes to like short term leases, but that's actually worse, because then you're trying to foresee the future that might not happen the way you expected. So back in the day when I was 2022, it's way better to just go with the flow, I really must say. Like, definitely easier, because you don't really care too much. It's just like, oh yeah, nice, I have a flat, whatever. Yeah, 3 months is like such a long time from now, and now 3 months is like gone in the blink of an eye. But yeah, if you can do it like the 20-year-old version, and just don't give a shit about it, because it's usually the best. Like really, like, don't give a shit and like show up and be an asshole. No, but just, take it as it comes and go with it, and don't try to plan too much ahead. Um, yeah. So at least with the flat situation, that would be my go-to now. But again, it's not always easy. Like for me now, it's I'm annoyed knowing that I can only stay in a place for 6 months. So I'm like, doing that for so many years now. I'm like, no, I want a permanent place now, like one base. But it's not easy, not at the moment. But hey, so yeah, basically then I was yeah, located in London, and again after 6 months of the language and then 2 years of not speaking, obviously, like, it's not enough to really speak, but I knew that's also a reason I went back, because I really wanted to practice. I really wanted to be good. I don't want to, you know, I want to, like, now I sit here and I just start speaking the language, and that's what I wanted to achieve, and I knew that I have to practice for that. So again, it's not just magically appearing overnight, a language, or when people believe they just go into a different country and then people ask them, and do you speak, I don't know, whatever, Spanish? And you're like, I don't know, do you speak Turkish? Like, huh? Just because I'm here, like, it's like when you're holidaying and I ask you, like, oh, you speak the language, and I'm like, what? It's not like you just cross the border and download the language, like, seriously. Yeah, it takes time. It takes time, and you have to practice, and you have to also, some people say, hey, it's good enough now, I don't want to practice or learn anymore, or like different, you know fancy stuff you can do with the grammar. And then there are other people who are like, no, man, I want to speak fancy words too, I want to speak properly and whatnot. But again, that's like always stepping up the game, and that's practice, just like you practice like lifting weights. And when you don't practice, you forget. And funny enough, though, I actually forgot a lot of my mother language while I was there. 4 years in London, 3, 4 years. And yeah, obviously only surrounded by native speakers, which was beautiful. I randomly met at a viewing, actually, at a flat viewing. I met a friend of mine, and she's also German and lives very close from my parents' house, which is funny. And we meet all the way over in London. And so, yeah, obviously with her, I would speak German when we are like alone, but otherwise, just English. And that's the best. If you are planning on learning a language or want to practice, make sure you are just surrounded by native speakers and don't speak your own language, because otherwise, because it's easier, and it is, you want to talk it, you want to, be part of that conversation. I totally get it. And then with a new language, it's a struggle and it's hard and it's annoying, but you're never going to get there if you don't practice. Like, you have to go through this to get to the point where you just easily speak the other language too. So yeah, and that's harder now, I would say, because now everyone speaks English or wants to learn English. So finding a place where you can actually just speak Spanish or whatever other language is, funny enough, not that easy. But yeah, it's possible. However, so I decided, I was there and I knew, okay, I want to get into the film industry. No, advertising, not at that point, like film. My focus was on film. And yeah, you start again. So literally I looked up online. So I had a list of directors, no, designers and supervisors I wanted to work with, like those, where I just watched films. I'm like, oh my God, I love it. So I always also start with my favorite. Like, I would never start with the like the lowest, or like, not, I don't know, I always go for the best, because I want to learn from the best and not from, I don't know, like, okay, maybe second best, but I want to keep it up there. Like, where's the point in contacting someone no one has heard about, or who, is starting out herself or what? I'm like, no. So I usually go for like those people that I admire, and then I just ask them, like, hey, this is my offer. Like, I'm happy to do, like, I don't know, take me on for a day or 2 days, and just unpaid, and see if you like my work, and see if we get on, and see if you can maybe employ me for your next project. And people are usually very happy to have like proactive people. And again, it's not really a risk if you say, hey, I'm gonna come and I give you a couple of days of my time, so you can see kind of risk-free to know, hey, okay, she's cool, and I can totally hire her, at least, then start paying her like on extra days, and then see how she, performs, and then it's like, okay, cool, now I'm ready to give you like a job on my next project. So yeah, and that's how I started. And I just contacted as many people as I could. I was like, okay, like what, but also what is possible, because I didn't have a car at the time, so I knew I would have to stay just within London. And I already knew that it's going to be difficult at times, because obviously the locations are sometimes elsewhere and you have to then figure it out by yourself. So, but I knew that, and that was, something I have to just, suck it up and do it. So, yeah, that's how I started. And I also had 2 side jobs. So I started as a nanny, and yeah, that was fun. So like 2 days a week, that was fixed. So I knew, okay, I definitely get enough money in or almost enough money to kind of, secure my rent every month, because that's, yeah, if you have to worry about that sucks. That's not good, because then your brain is so focused on that. It's just a survival fear, and that's like operating from that is just not good. So yeah, I wanted to make sure I have that on a regular basis. I can go there, and then if I needed to, I can always offer more days to my family to help them out. But yeah, that was actually a great deal, a lot of fun, and I stayed with them actually quite some time. And then I also found another company. They were shooting. There was like a production site where they shot for online shops, and there's always stuff to do. They always need people helping out. So I also applied there, got a job immediately, and it was paid so shitty. It was ridiculous, but that's just what it is, I guess. It's like I had to start somewhere. I didn't have a family. My parents didn't give me any money for this. So literally my parents were also like, well, if you want to go there, because they believe that was the stupidest shit you can ever do, go there, learn a language. Why do you want to go like after school? You were supposed to do other stuff. And I just said, no, I'm going to learn. I'm going to go there and I learn at least one other language, or at least English. And I mean, now it's like, thank God I did it. But yeah, for my parents, it was totally crazy. And then they were like, no, well, if you want to do it, you do it, but then you have to do it alone, like stuff like that, I'm like, oh, whatever. So I did it. And yeah, but I also knew exactly, like, okay, I cannot fuck it up. Oh, and by the way, I moved over to London, not knowing where and what's going to happen, with 1,500 euro. Yeah, 1,500 euro. That's what I had. That was my, I'm going to relocate to a different country fund. And I fucking did it, you guys. So yeah, is that crazy? Maybe a little, but you have to be a little crazy. But yeah, again, like being 20 and not caring too much is really a blessing. It really, really is. Not knowing sometimes is better. And then what happened? Yeah, literally, like just like in Germany, I played the game, went on sets, and literally just, I knew I wasn't paid for it, but then I at least wanted to gain contacts. I wanted to talk to people, and I talked to everyone on set. Writing stuff down. I always have my little booklet with me, always taking notes, contacts, numbers. Where can I go if I need that? Stuff like that. And then people are very impressed with you as well, because they see, they're like, hey, there's someone who actually really wants to learn, who's really interested and is listening. So yeah, that was pretty cool. And at that point, like, I didn't even speak English like I speak it now. And then I was all like very a bit like nervous and shy, because I didn't want to mess up my sentence too much. And then I decided, like, if I can't be sure that I speak it 100%, like that is the sentence that's correct, like grammatically correct, I'm not going to say it. So that's the worst, you guys. Just speak, really. It doesn't matter if you make a mistake, but not speaking, that's the worst. But that was me back then. I was like, I don't want to fuck it up. Is that the word? Is that how you pronounce it? And at some point you just don't give a shit anymore. Like, whatever, you speak one language perfectly already, and now you're learning, more. So it's like, hey, come on, guys, like, cut me some slack. But yeah, back in the day, I was like very nervous and anxious about it, and I didn't want to like be the stupid girl who cannot speak, even though I do speak my language perfectly as well. But and these guys only speak most of the time one language, because those who speak multiple languages and had to learn it at an older age, they would never give you shit about it because they know what it's like. It's always people who don't know, or yeah, even those who do speak several languages and learned it as a kid, it's not the same story at all. So yeah, it's a different thing if you are older, like old kind of for your brain to pick up a new language, but still it's possible. It's like training, like if you are like actively there, like mentally fit, like it's totally possible. People told me I learned Spanish, or I started learning when I was 30, and people said, no, you're not gonna, I don't know, whatever. People, I don't know, fucking no, don't listen to that shit. And now look at me, I'm living now in Spain, and yeah, I'm getting there. Like, I'm very strict, and I want to be very good, so that takes a lot of practice. But it's totally possible, totally. And you can also speak and like practice your accent as well. So it's not, that's what I mean. Like, people need to understand you. And right now, I'm actually in a little village, one of those beautiful white villages, and people here have such a thick dialect. I understand nothing. I'm like, what are you talking about? Is that Spanish? What language do you speak? Oh dear. So yeah, I'm soon relocating again because I really do want to speak Spanish. And hang out with like people my age. Like, these guys are like between, I don't know, 75 and 90. But they're living the life. Hey, they're having a good life here. Yeah, however, so I picked up back in London, I picked up a lot of contacts, and people started recommending me again. Like, that's what I mean. Like, once you are in, you are in. And if you are doing a good job continuously, people will continuously ask you to work for them or to join the team. And that's what I did. So I did that. And I would say 2.5, no, 2 years, a year and a half, like something like that, 2 years in maybe, of being just in London. I was kind of at a down point in my, like, I don't know, I was really, for some reason, very negative. I was in a very dark hole, and I knew something has to change. And because it's literally what you do there, but it's not just in the film industry, it's everywhere in London. So you get up, um, you have most people don't even have a little breakfast, but I always make sure that I have at least a cup of tea and a little bit of breakfast. So, to get my everything started, like to kickstart my brain, my body, everything, nourish it a little bit. So yeah, and then you spend an hour at least on the train, which is packed. Like, the tubes are like, I mean, that was crazy. So you are tucked in like a little sardine in a tin can, and yeah, that's how you spend your first hour of the day, literally. And then you rush, and I mean rush. People are running, from A to B. I mean, trains arrive every minute, and still people are running. And then I remember being there, and suddenly you get this, like, my entire body is like, I have to run. And then I pick up on it, and I'm like, why the fuck am I running? And it's insane. It's such a fast-paced city. And again, in the beginning, I loved it, but then, like, 2 years in, I was like not a little, I was a lot. I was tired of it a lot. So yeah, I noticed that, and I felt like, wow. And then you go home, you do your hours and hours of work. You come home on a film job. I'm not at home at all, but that's a job, and then you are just working, working, working. But then, let's say, when I do for the production side, for the online shop, which is like a 9 to 5 job, so that's literally it. So you arrive a little earlier, you set up your set after an hour on the train, and then you are not even, like, it's not a nice train. It's not this kind of train where you look out of the window and like admire the beautiful view. It's like you are standing tucked with a million other people, and it's just not nice. I don't know. However, so you do your job, you have a little break in between, you continue your work at 5, or sometimes, when it goes longer, 6, 5, 6, you pack up, back on the train, back home. So it's 7 hours back home. And then at that point, I'm so exhausted. I just want to eat supper. And then I literally go straight to bed to wake up again and do it, same story again, all over. So yeah, that was everyone's life. And at some point, it's like, So yeah, and that's when I discovered more or less South Africa. So I was again, from life kind of thrown in. I had no idea. I was at a point where, again, I didn't give a shit. I was like, I whatever. I know something has to change, and I was actually looking at Australia. I thought about applying for a work permit in Australia, just go there, just to get some distance, just to clear my head, just to see where I'm at the moment, what's happening. I wanted to also have a little holiday time, so I wanted to work and travel, like, just charge my batteries again. And that's where I was like, hey, maybe Australia. It's sunny, it's nice. Um, you get usually, like, that's what I heard from people. You get a good pay rate over there. So it's like, yeah, why not Australia? So while I was looking at Australia, life had a different plan and sent me over to South Africa, and that was actually a lot. So yeah, I was like brainwashed. I didn't notice back in the day, but my back then boyfriend was actually from South Africa, um, but he liked to try and hide it. So, and then one of my favorite photographers was also married to an South African woman, and I'm like, and he goes like always when he comes back, oh my God, South Africa is amazing, and I'm gonna shoot there in winter, and this and that, and have you been? And you must come. And I'm like, you know what? I don't know, I don't care. Yeah, you have a job for me there. Yeah, like, yeah, I come. And that was how it started. And at some point, like, I remember one occasion I was like, okay, fuck it, that's it. I booked my flight over to Germany or to Austria where my parents were at the moment, and I just had a 2 week break over my birthday, and I was like, okay, now. And that's where I also booked my flight to, guess where? Cape Town, South Africa. So yeah, without knowing if anyone can give me a job, or without knowing where to stay, without knowing anything, I was just like, oh, South Africa, how much? Yeah, I have that. Let's go. So that's when I booked my flight, and literally 2 or 3 weeks later, the flight was already happening. And again, coming back to London, I just said, uh, yeah, I just quit everything basically and said, hey guys, it's the off season, like winter season is quiet anyway. I'm going to go. I found a person to cover my rent for the time where I was in South Africa. That's super easy in London, or was. I don't know what's happening now, but back in the day, easy. Found a person who just takes over your rent basically. And yeah, and from that point onward, it was just nice to know, hey, okay, cool. And then my um, my boyfriend at the time, I was like, hey, you know, find me a place to stay. Like, you owe me, all good, but do this and we are square. So it's like, okay. And he actually did. He actually found me like an amazing space to just arrive and to, just like, hey, I asked my brother, he asked him, and he asked him, and stuff like that. And that's always the best, you guys. So yeah, I had a place, I had an address, I had a number. I was like, okay, cool. How amazing is that? So that's where I can go to. Brilliant. And again, same there. Like, once you arrive, you just figure out what happens, and then you just go take it from there, step by step by step. So I did a really cool job, 2 weeks with a photographer, and then that was a lot of fun. And then I just took, I would say, 6 weeks off, where I was like, fuck it, I don't know where I'm gonna live, I don't know what's gonna happen. I have, like, I don't know, I didn't have a lot of money left either, but it was like, honestly, I don't care. It's so beautiful over here. I love it so much. And for the first time in years, I slowed down. Everything is it's just different down there. And I was like, okay, cool. So no one is in a hurry, or at least not when you live by the ocean. And it's like, wow, it's so beautiful. People are so amazing and so much like me. And it was just great. I just loved it immediately. And yeah, I also started like living in different areas of the town. And that's how I also got around, really get to know the places and the cities I stayed in. And yeah, like meeting all my friends there. And again, from knowing no one to knowing half of the city, it's like, oh, it's so much fun. I loved it. And very soon I knew, like, I didn't want to return, obviously. Like, the day came, I had to fly back, and I'm like, no. So I went back to London, and I don't know, I did probably a job or so. And then with that money, I I booked another flight straight back to Cape Town, because it was still winter. So, the winter season in London is super quiet, in Europe in general. And then it's summer in South Africa during that time, and there's always stuff to do. And I was like, hey, maybe I can actually ask around and just find an agent and get the visa, the work permit, and then just spend my winter here. And that's literally what I did. So I went down there. Um, and again, at that point, I already knew people, so I was just like calling up, like the guy I called to ask if I can rent one of his rooms. I was literally meeting at a bar, and just like a side sentence of like, yeah, man, I'm leaving soon, but I really want to come back. I just have to find like a place to stay. And I remember him saying, hey, I have a spare room, so just let me know if you are interested. And I'm like, hey, you know what? Maybe he remembers me. And he did. So, again, I booked my flight. So I always just book the flight and then everything else just falls into place. And then I called up the guy. I'm like, hey, you remember me? He said, maybe you have a place for me. So, stuff like that. I'm like, okay, cool. He said, like, yeah, you can have it easy. It was so easy. And it, yeah. And now, like, just the living situation is so difficult. And back in the day, literally, I was just like calling up random people, like, hey, do you have, you know anyone? No, okay, cool. Yes, oh, beautiful. So yeah, no, in Cape Town, everything was always like, boom, I'm there, and everything falls right into place. So I found an agent as well. Again, doing your homework, that's what you do. You just like in Germany and London before, you you do your research. Who has the biggest company here, biggest clients, like what's going on, who might need help, and then you just literally you actually show up or get an appointment or call them up or whatever. So that's what I did. Then I found one, and that was actually the one I wanted to go to. Like these guys said yes. Now I'm like, oh, that's beautiful. And then he already, like my agent said, like, listen, just get ready. You need this and this and that for your paperwork. Make sure that you know the area here. Make sure that you are just prepared, because you will come. You will have to open a bank account. You have to like accountant, blah blah blah. So you like properly have to set yourself up so you can work there legally. And so yeah, but again, when you are young, it's like whatever. Yeah, I'm going to Cape Town, so it's like, yeah, whatever needs to be done, I'll get it done. And yeah, but that's the cool part about it. Like over there, it's like very, like it is actually possible, because the rules are not like rules, it's more like guidelines. So you can actually, you know, builds stuff there. It's actually happening, because you're not always stopped immediately and no, and this is a no, and this is a set rule, but this rule doesn't make sense if you apply this rule, because that means now we're kind of stuck. So how can we unstuck ourselves here? And again, if you have rules that are flexible, you can be unstuck, and you can move, and you can grow. So that's why I really love that area as well. um and then that was a time when I started being in summer or year, basically. So summer in Europe, winter in Cape Town. Beautiful, absolutely beautiful. And that was, yeah, that was my, still like in my 20s, the best time of my life, really. Like at least the 20s, best time of my 20s. Life, I don't know yet, but of my 20s. And I loved it. It was insane. It's, yeah, in my heart forever. Like so good. And yeah, then at some point, oh yeah, I got a call from Germany, and they were headhunting me for a position in Berlin, and they wanted me to take over for someone for a certain time, for the relaunch of that program. And I was like, yeah, I'll think about it. And then I was like, okay, let me just see because Berlin flats, it's hideous. So I'm just like calling up my old landlord. No, it's not a problem at all. We have not your apartment, but we have the one, I don't know, one up or down. Yeah, you can have it for the old price. And I was like, seriously? Like, I wasn't ready to go, And I was like, okay, let's find an excuse not to go, because obviously in Berlin I have to find a place, and I don't think I can have, like, in what world? And then she said, like, no, it's not a problem at all. I'm like, what? And then I called back, and it's like, okay, yeah, but that's the money I want. Yeah, that's not a problem at all. I'm like, huh? Like everything was not like everything was suddenly so smooth, like where in London I was like chasing everything. I had to like ask and like really and just squeeze it, squeeze it for the money. And then it's still like every time you have to debate that, and it's like, what? And now these guys are like, yeah, no, you have the flat, we have the money, you have the contract, please come. When can you start? And I was like, damn, looks like I'm going back to Berlin. So yeah, I went first back to London, got my stuff there, closed um, my little apartment thingy there, and then yeah, moved over to Berlin again, and again back with this job, and that was for a TV show, or like a news channel, but TV. And Oh yeah, during that time, like a year or so ago, I started doing advertising as well because film is just very hectic with the, I kind of realized like I also want to have a life, I want to have a family at some point, I do want to have a partner. And I just realized, okay, maybe with the film, that's not happening. I also realized that I don't want to have the position of the supervisor or the designer. And these were the next two steps for me to take. And I didn't want to because that's not the position I want to have. But obviously, those are the positions that pay, the most. Like if you want to be, you're usually in to be a designer at some point. But I didn't want to do that because they didn't do the jobs I wanted to do, as in like being on set and really just being like, with the production side the entire time. I love it. And I'm like, I don't want to do that. And then obviously watching all the costume designers, in my case, it's funny, but I always worked with women and I never had a guy boss. And yeah, seeing them like how differently they take it, because obviously these guys, they don't have kids, they don't have family. Sometimes they have a husband or like a partner. That helps, that makes them a bit nicer, I want to say, like a little bit more understanding. And those are usually the people who say, hey, you know what, guys, we don't need all of you right now here, we are kind of wrapping up. I tell you what, like, it's your guys' birthday, how about you call it a day, who are really like also just very sweet about it and say, hey, listen, like, you don't have to sit here 2 more hours. Let's just go home and have a little birthday party. So very sweet. And then you also have people who are very bitter, They don't have a husband, they don't have kids, they don't have anything, and they are already like in their 70s, and they just, that's the only thing they have left. So obviously they are like clinging to it. And they are usually the people who say, if you even ask to leave early for a birthday or for a family reunion, they're literally like, well, if you don't want this job, if you don't, if you're not serious about this, if you're blah blah blah, like super aggressive and super like, well, then you're not gonna, I'm not gonna give you any day on my set. And I'm like, it's just like, oh god. So it's really crazy. But I kind of realized, okay, that's not gonna be me. And I do want a family, but that was obviously hard to achieve if I stayed in the film business. So then I looked into advertising, which was nice because a lot of retired film people usually do advertising. And so that was fun. It's still, while you have a project, it's like nonstop and all day, but the projects are way shorter. Instead of running over, a period of, I don't know, 9 months or 6 months or 3 months, they're usually just, I don't know, between maybe a week or 2 weeks. So I'm like, hey, that's doable. And during that time, you can make a lot of money. So you get money faster, but you obviously also have like shorter projects. So after the project, you then have to also look for other jobs again, right? With the film, you are signed, and then maybe for a year or so you are fine, and you don't have to worry about another project this year, And then obviously advertising is differently, so you get more money a day, but the projects are way shorter. But again, it was a lot of fun. I loved it. I did a lot of advertising in South Africa as well. And yeah, and then again back in Berlin. But I also realized, okay, I'm only going to be here for 50 months, 3 seasons, that's it. And then I'm off again. And that's what I did. I saved up money. I just really got to enjoy this employed situation. That was the first time I was employed. And I could not believe, like, what a holiday it is. Like, being employed for me is like a paid holiday. And yeah, coming from like proper film sets, and like that was my life for 5 years at that point. And it's like, it's crazy. You have your hours, you have your breaks, you have your holiday, and in Germany that's paid. Even when people are sick, they are paid. And even if they are not sick, but they say they are sick, like putting a sickie, they get paid until fucking infinity. And I'm like, what is going on? Absolutely crazy. So, talking team building, like, no, like, I actually had a situation like that where for one of the team members was always pulling a sickie and just not being there anymore. But she was blocking, the position. So you obviously need someone to work, but then she is not being there. She's receiving all the money. Someone else can't step up. It's like it was such a shit show. And that was a point. I was 20 at that point. That was my intern, one of my internships, and that's when I realized, okay, no, fuck it. I'm never going to be employed. If that is being employed, no thanks. And then I found film, and I was like, yes, that's my family. That's my work family. because everyone is just, you know, you have to be there, you pull it together, and you are a team, and not this kind of bullshit where one person happens to be the best paid person as well, and then is the one that's never there. Just always, every week you can wait for the next like little thing you get from the doctor saying, oh no, another week of whatever. And it's like, what? Just be honest. If you hate your job, just quit so someone else can step up. But they also don't want that because it's nice and comfortable, you know, sitting at home being paid for nothing. So yeah, that really freaked me out a lot. And so yeah, that's why I was also like, oh, do I want to go back to Germany? I really don't. But then again, I had the best time. We had a great team. And again, if the team is amazing, if everyone is there and knows, hey, you know, let's do this, it's a lot of fun. And in the end, I stayed because the team was amazing. Otherwise, I would have left after 2 weeks. But yeah, I stayed. The 15 month was a lot of fun. I really enjoyed it. I really enjoyed also the upside of having this very scheduled week and always knowing what's going to happen, because that was the first time I could actually sign up to a yoga studio for a longer period. I'm like, yay, that's awesome. So that was fun, just knowing that you can actually do your things. And I visited my family a lot. So all of this, you know, I kind of made up for the time that passed, and just without, you know, being able to do anything else but to work. So that was a lot of fun. I really made the best of it. And then I went over, after that time, I fulfilled another dream of mine. I went over to America. Yeah, so that was a dream. I wanted to go and to learn English, remember? And I couldn't. Again, too expensive and too complicated with the visa, blah, blah. And I knew, like, okay, cool. Now, 10 years later, so I was, 16, I asked my parents if I could do this exchange year in school, but it didn't happen. And then when I was 26, so it was when I turned 27 over there. Yeah. So I was 26 and I finally fulfilled my dream to go over to the States and just do a road trip through America and just, be there and explore and just, for the first time. It was crazy. So I did that. It was amazing. It was absolutely amazing. I also spent some time in the Caribbean, which was also stunning. And by the way, that was where a lot of things happened to change for me. And then also South Africa, also a place that internally changed a lot. But yeah, that road trip, oh, it was so beautiful. It was amazing. I loved it so much. And again, like, if you can, you guys, you just really, those moments are priceless, and you can't put a price tag on it, and you cannot pay for it with money. Like, you know, that is something you don't get just by getting the highest paid position or playing by the rules, you know, the rule book society made up. It's really like these totally random encounters with strangers. And it ended up, you know, I left again having more friends, and it's so cool. Yeah. And they were so friendly and so welcoming and so sweet. I really just had the best time. I had the best time. It was beautiful, beautiful. And I'm so grateful for that trip as well. Like, really amazing. And I cannot wait to go back at some point. Mm. So then back to Cape Town, and another season. So what I did again, season without a break. But then the road trip was amazing. I should have actually taken some rest because, you know, processing all of this information takes it's heavy. It's a lot of energy, and at that point I couldn't even read a book, like one page of a book, because literally my brain couldn't fit in anymore. It was hectic. But that was somehow the most crazy season. Like, I really was just like, you know, I was hoping to, like, hey, maybe I have a month before clients request me. No, I was fully booked within just a week or two of my arrival, fully booked for the next month and into the new year. And I'm like, oh god, shit, okay, no, but that's what I wanted. I'm looking forward to it. So again, a lot of fun jobs, but it was also very, very busy, very busy. And then I was also exhausted. So what also happened is the water crisis in South Africa, and at that point it was reaching a peak, and it was so bad. And I'm not sure if it was, no, the year after, like, okay, so the next season then was so bad that job got cancelled and clients wouldn't come. because there was no water, and that was tough. So suddenly I find myself there. And then obviously when I do work in South Africa, I was paid in the local currency, um, because then I was part of the local team. And I mean, that's like nothing, you guys. So that's why I always left my money there, and I couldn't take it anywhere because it was literally worth nothing. So I made sure to leave the money there, and I just live within the country. I lived like a queen. Like there was a time where I never had to worry. I didn't have to check my bank account before I go out. I didn't have to, remember, oh shit, how many drinks did I have? Like, oh shit, do I actually have enough in my account? Stuff like that, never. Like in London all the time, in South Africa, never. But again, the money was only worth anything within the country. So I also knew that once I get back to Europe, I always needed jobs immediately because, again, you need money and it's expensive, and especially in like big cities. So that was definitely a lot of stress going on. But back then, I was just like not feeling stressed. That was just a crazy ride, and I loved it, enjoying the high. It really is a rush of like, I don't know what it is, but it is definitely like being on drugs, probably, like, you know. It's crazy. It's so much fun, but it's crazy. And yeah, then the water crisis hit. No jobs. Everyone was broke. Oh my god, we were so broke. And yeah, no better days in sight, basically. Not for that season. Everyone fell sick. It was ridiculous, you guys. But I'm going to get into that when I talk about South Africa. It deserves its own episode. So yeah, however, that's when I decided that after that, like living, without water, and just everything, like public water was cut off. So even after toilet, using a toilet, you couldn't, I mean, as you guys, you don't want to really, like, even flushing the toilet wasn't really given. Like we had to like, okay, now everyone in the flat has to use it, and then we flush, and oh, it was terrible. It was very like, oh, yeah, no wonder everyone was sick at some point. So crazy fucking shit, really, really. Not having water is crazy. And then in the Caribbean as well, when I was there, we had a hurricane, a big one, and it's just insane how people live there. Just to know that it can happen every year, every season, and then there's the house gone, or half of the house, or the roof, and it's crazy. Power cuts, no water, no nothing, and then you live there, and then you have to still live because no one comes to rescue you. So again, like the Caribbean situation with the hurricane, and then the drought in South Africa was definitely a point where I was like, whoa, like that definitely changes you. And also points out what's really important, because um, being on social media or what, and just pretending or having a phone, like, trust me, asking for my phone, no one would ask you for your phone, or like if you can charge your phone or whatnot. You have other issues. You want the refrigerator to work so your food doesn't go off. You want the freezer to work so everything you froze over the year. So especially with these guys in the Caribbean, they were just self-sustaining themselves. So everything they eat comes from their own land. So you can imagine, it was crazy to see. And for me, I never even thought of like, oh yeah, shit, you don't have water, you don't have, because the pump doesn't work, no electricity, you have no fridge, and suddenly it's like, oh, holy shit. So yeah, the phone, I didn't bring my laptop there, so I was just traveling with the phone. My phone even didn't become, I was like, yeah, sorry, just don't ask me stupid shit right now, like, oh, can you like me here? Can you post it? No, I can't. Like, really, that's where you realize, oh dear God, what are we doing here? At least that's what I realized. And yeah, then back to Cape Town again. That was a drought, and then I was like, okay, I cannot. I went back to, I believe I was in Berlin again for a job, and then I remember on that job, and it was one of my favorite productions and production companies, and a great team. And still I was there, and it was literally like, oh my God, what am I doing here? Like, I'm coming from a place where we have no water, and here we talk about, oh, does that top go with this belt, or should we go this one? Yeah, but isn't that too, like, shouldn't we go for like a more expensive one? Like, don't, you're just like, are you fucking kidding me right now? oh my God, what are you even talking about? And they honestly believe they are changing the world. And that was a point for me where I was like, okay, no, sorry, I can't do it anymore. I'm sorry, I love my job, I love you guys, but this is just crazy. So yeah, that was that. And I'm skipping a lot now, but basically that happened. And then within a year a lot changed, and I was like, okay, no, my entire body was literally rejecting it, and I started making mistakes where I never make mistakes in my job. And I was like, okay, I know that's it, like that's it. I don't know what I'm gonna do, but I know I can't continue this. And then back in Cape Town, so again I was always going back and forth, like half a season there, one season there, one season there, and back in Cape Town. And that was a point where I had to apply for my work permits in Germany, and the relationship between these countries is not too great, and I struggled to get work permits, and that obviously led to more problems because I cannot just stay there without being paid, without working. So I needed to get back into the business there. And I was like, are you guys crazy? Like, I'm paying tax here. I have everything is set up legally. And now you're telling me you rather want me to close that instead of just giving me a stamp so you can continuously receive the tax money. Yeah, that's what they wanted. They wanted me to not work there, but they were happy for me to be there, and I can receive money from abroad, but I cannot legally work there. And I'm just like, that makes no sense, you guys. However, so that was an issue, and that went on for a long time. But I was still trying, obviously, because that's the place I wanted to be. And yeah, that's where I spent so much time, where I now had my entire network, my friends, my ex-boyfriend was there, and all my contacts. I mean, yeah, that was where I wanted to spend at least some part of the year. And yeah, that all went to shit. And that was pretty tough. And knowing this, like I remember the last time I was allowed to enter the country, and I knew, okay, now it's coming to an end, like I'm not getting a renewal and nothing. And I was just like, fuck. And because of that, because I knew they're not going to give me another visa, and I tried for years, like at that point it was 2 years or so in, and I was like, okay, um fuck it, fuck it. I'm gonna find another way. Like, if they don't want me here, if they don't want to have me found here, you know what? Whatever. I'm gonna found in Germany, and then I'm gonna go for a different visa, and then I'm gonna come back and just live here with the money I, gain in Germany. And if they don't want my tax money, I mean, sorry, I can just, I can only invite you. Like, you have to, like, I can only ask, like, seriously. Um, so yeah, still the craziest. I don't know what that is, but that was it. So I knew, okay, I have 3 months now to come up with a solution. And I decided that once I'm gone, I'm just going to set up an online workshop. So at that point, like, Amazon FBA was very popular, and I started online, seeing people like, hey, just set up your online shop, like, they did drop shipping and hands off, and I can be in Bali, and then my company's in Germany. And I was like, oh, that's interesting, okay, cool. Yeah, that's when I started Green Planet Cosmetics, my lifestyle brand, because that was for me the most easy, I guess, because I was already using the product. I was already like for 10 years or so at the time. No, at that point, at 7 years or so. Anyway, so a long time. I had all the farms I contacted. I had everything, like every contact I needed for the products, and I was literally just asking, like, hey guys, are you able to ship my orders over to Germany as well? Not a problem at all. So I could literally, I just did what I always did, but instead of just bringing products home as gifts for friends and family, I decided, hey, I might as well just, order more, and then make people pay for it. So yeah, that's how I started my online shop in Germany. Founding in Germany is one of the craziest, and I am German. I have all the papers, everything, and it is the hardest. It was the hardest ever. Like, literally, I have no words for it. It was crazy. Again, like in Spain, I had to learn the language first. In London founding, I had to learn the language first. And with this broken English already, I was able to set up my company. I was able to put everything into motion. I could write invoices, everything within a week, or not even, like literally everything was done online. I had to go to one place where they had to verify that I am a real person. And I don't know, something, you get a number there, and that's a number you have forever. But that's in every country, actually, you have this number. But that was the one time in London I had to actually go somewhere and meet a person in person. And that's it. Everything else was done online. In Germany, nothing is done online. Nothing, really. It's ridiculous. I felt like being back in, I don't know, like 30 years ago. It was crazy. It was fucking crazy. And making it so hard, I cannot believe how you can actually make it so hard for people to work. Like, it should be easy. Working should be easy. Pick up, like, everything else we sort out later. Tax we sort out later. Like, here's your, be glad that people voluntarily say, hey, I need a tax number. I would actually like to pay tax, because as you grow, it should be easier. Like, you should, as a government, you should make it so easy and so beneficial for people to come and register that they get benefits as well. So it's like a no-brainer for them, instead of now it's being a no-brainer not to do that. Now it's actually easier to just sell drugs on the street, literally. And it's actually easier now to earn money, just cash on the hand. And I'm like, how can that be easier? It should be the other way around. It should be easier, and it should be a no-brainer to say, hey, you know what, fuck it, I'm just going to get my tax number, and then I get some tax benefits as well, because I'm actually being honest here, and I submit everything on time. So there should be a system that is like, hey, thanks for participating, because honestly, like, these guys live from our money. So we should also get some sort of like benefit from it. My business should be easier now, since I registered it and since it's like an official business. But guess what? It actually became harder. And that is where I'm like, now looking back, it's interesting to see how you can, just by randomly, people asking you, hey, can you bring me this and that? Yeah, cool, just give me that money. So like earning a little extra just by like bringing people some stuff from some other country was literally easier, and I still had more money left. And I wasn't even trying to. It was literally just like people giving me some, like, hey, can you bring me that again and that? I'm like, yeah, sure. And yeah, that's easier than actually setting up the business, putting in the hours and the work to have a proper business. Everything is regulated, everything is just signed up for. And it's like, it's even harder. Like, there's literally no money left in your account at the end. Like, once you're done paying tax and paying everyone else, it's literally like, where's my money? And I'm like, how is it possible that you can actually do that just by I don't know, bringing maybe 5 people some products? I make more money than just officially selling 5 products. How is that even possible? It's like, what is going on here? So yeah, it's very interesting to see. Very, very interesting to see. And again, that was the one country I didn't need to learn the language. I didn't need to get certain paperwork done beforehand. I didn't need a visa. And it was supposed to be easy. Germany was the hardest to found. Out of all countries I've now registered and founded my business. And it's ridiculous. And I would never go back. Like, I'd rather, again, now learn another language and set up my business in that country than going back there where it's so complicated for you, and where you actually get punished for wanting to work and for putting in the hours and for doing honest work. It's literally like that, you guys. It's so sad. But so it was a crazy, crazy ride, and I actually managed to just I literally managed to pull it off, and without any client base. I had no reviews, I had no nothing. Again, I just founded my own brand. I got all the paperwork, I got everything in order. And it's just me, hey? That's just me. I did everything. The recipes and stuff I already had, because I was already making my own skincare for a long time. So, and then I just registered the raw products I got, because I wanted, some stuff I just want to keep as raw as possible, like marula oil, baobab oil. These are so powerful ingredients. I don't want to blend them down with like other stuff. I'm like, no, that's just, the pure plant essence. And yeah, so very excited. I love my little business baby, and I cannot believe what I created there. But again, like, at the end, and how crazy it even is on Amazon to get found, to be one of, I don't know, millions of sellers, and to actually work your way up and be organically ranked number one with your product. For me, it was always marula oil. Baobab oil was also number one. So they had 3 out of 5 products that were always constantly ranked number one, unless I was sold out. But I actually did that, you guys, and all I had, my budget for that entire venture was 5,000 euro. That is how I could start. I mean, it was crazy, absolutely crazy, and I did it. So when you are actually, again, I had no time to run that idea by other people. I was literally like in a situation where my back was against the wall and I had to come up with a solution now. So, and that is where I was like, okay, that's what I'm going to do. I read a little bit into it. I was making a few phone calls, like asking for, friends, like, hey, do you know anyone who does that? No. And then, my friend said, no, I don't actually, but you know what? Do you know Udemy? I'm like, no, what's that? It's like, yeah, it's like an online platform and you can have online courses and buy masterclasses and whatnot. And maybe you find something there. I'm like, hey, that's a cool idea. Thanks very much. So I go on Udemy, and that is literally like my education for how to start your online shop comes from a masterclass. And it was beautiful. Like now on YouTube, you have like this workshop could be on, like, it's probably now free content on YouTube. But back in the day, so when I started that, you had to look for that type of content. It was just starting, it was just starting, and it was just like you had some videos, but it was no way near where it's now, where you can literally just for free, you guys, or somewhat for free. Okay, you have to watch a little bit of advertising sometimes, but for free, to just get a step-by-step guide, or to get some informations, or to now, like even with the podcast, or where I always say, like, listen, that's what I did wrong, look out to do this and that and that, and maybe check in if that's for you as well, because when you are German, you have to do this and that. I'm just saying, you get all this free information out there, and it's available. It's crazy. Back then it wasn't, and I actually had to ask around and go to Udemy and buy a workshop, and I did it, and it was a great first step into this world. I'm like, okay, cool, now I have an overall idea what's gonna happen, what to look out for. And he actually gave me like 1 or 2 tips that were like, I'm so glad he told that, like he said it, because otherwise if you tick the wrong box, that actually leads to a lot of problems in like afterwards and tax wise, whatever. But he said that, and I'm like, oh, just this tip alone saves you thousands of euros if if you fuck that one up. So great awesome tool. It's like amazing to have. I did that, and then I just put myself to work, and literally it's like when I'm like on fire, I'm on fire, and then I just like get it done, chop time's wasting. And within 3 months, so that was then summer, and no, that was May, I started this, and then in June or July, and then in August I was actually registering my company, and I was going full in. Like I had my product, I had my bottles, my packaging, had to make sure that everything was according to the law. You have to make sure the copyright, that trademark and all of that. So I contacted a lawyer, copyright lawyer, and trademark lawyer, and all of that. Oh my god, I managed that with the tiniest budget. But I did fuck up one time, and that was actually, I wouldn't really say it's my fault. It's not really, but my very first batch. So the batch that arrived when I was ready to go, I there was a production mistake, and it wasn't visible to the naked eye, so I couldn't just see it from the outside. But it was clear that when they ship it on planes, that the products were leaking, and that was due to a missing seal. So the entire batch, my very first batch of product that was already shipped to Amazon and to clients, customers, I actually had to get back. Oh god, I had to get it back, and I had to I couldn't use it on for Amazon because of that situation. But then we figured it out, so we kind of learned where the problem was, and then the factory sent me some more seals, so I had to manually put them in. But then again, it was too risky to just, send it back to Amazon. At that point, I had different bottles already, so I was like, okay, I'm just going to do it again. That's usually the point where everyone gives up and says, okay, I'm just kidding. No, I'm not going to do it. And I was like, no, fuck it, because again, I had no plan B. There was only plan A. There is only success. There is no other way. And I was like, okay, you know what? Fuck it. That's annoying. And it cost me literally my last penny. But I'm going to go back to work in my old industry. So I took 1 or 2 jobs. And with that money, I started again. So I kind of repurchased new bottles. But these guys were actually even stricter. So they said, no, minimum quantity is higher. So I had to spend more money than the first time. But, I was like, fuck it. I'm just going to do it. I'm going to do it. And if not, whatever, it's going to make a great book. So that's what I always thought, like, whatever. Otherwise, I'm just going to write a book. That's how it really all started, and how I started on Amazon. And then the second one was a full success. And I'm still to this day using these bottles. And I really love the products I put together and how it all came together, and step by step I expanded. And yeah, again, it's just such a journey, and every month new stuff is happening, and your brain has to learn new everything, like new software. I had to understand the entire background of this system just for Amazon, how it works, what's going on. Then I had to learn the tax rules for that, because before then I was only offering services, so I was never charging for products. And the entire pricing and stuff like that. So it was, I'm so glad I did it. It's a whole new world I didn't even know existed. And web design, SEO, like Google ranks, keywords, and all of that. It's so important these days. And yeah, I'm very glad for that. I'm very glad that I got into that business, because otherwise I would still be doing film. And I love it. It's amazing. But again, it's just a complete different set of tools you need for these different types, and it's just so nice to expand my brain, to use my brain, to become better, to know more stuff. And it's just like, it's such an experience. And then especially when you are, obviously the fails, it hurts, but then to see how you can actually get up from it, and getting up and then being stronger in the end, it's just really nice, and it gives you a good confident boost. And I guess that's why I never really had these little voices in my ear that said, oh, you can't do it, no, you cannot, because I already did it. Like, at that point I was already founding, but so early on in when I was 22 in London, foreign country, foreign language. And then again, the same story in South Africa, and then later on in Spain. And I've done it so many times, and I've done it successfully. So yeah, obviously, if you do have to start from in the minus, so again, learning the language, that is like, it's different if it's already given. If you have a person that already speaks a language, or maybe even has a passport or has a visa, they start at a complete different point than you. And now imagine people even who didn't have €1,500 saved up. And I know it doesn't sound much, but there are people who don't even have that money to go to buy themselves a plane ticket to go there, and to just find a place to live for a few weeks, and then again, like because I didn't have more money, I really had to get my shit together, and I had to find a job as soon as possible. And then once you have the job, from there you just work your way up. So you will always get to the outcome you want to be at, but again, it just depends with the means you have. It sometimes takes longer, and it's so unfair to watch other people who it's been given to them just because they're born into a certain family or what. I'm like, oh, I wish I had, my I don't know, aunt or uncle is like this famous movie star, or is this amazing director, and can get me into this film set when I'm 16. That would be amazing. Yeah, but I never had that. So, and I had to first learn other stuff, like literally learn how to walk. And yeah, that's just my journey. And sometimes it's hard to and it gets frustrating, but it leaves me a little bit almost feeling a bit bitter, oh, and that's not good. So in that case, always look at what you already have. Look at what you already have. Look how far you've come. And then just do it. Just do it. And again, see the upside. A lot of money, yes, can make it a lot easier, for sure. Absolutely. If you want to choose between having more money or less money, you want more money to found your business, for sure. But well, from what I've seen with other companies who had investors and a lot of money, they are also fucking around a lot because they can, you see, and that is what I never could. I had to get it done, and I had to be strict, and I had to like be very, very efficient, and I had to manage my resources always very wisely. And that's a skill to have for life, you guys, because then this way, if you are good at that, you can always make money. You can always make money. Put it to work. Like, use your brain, like keep it fit. Like, literally learning languages is an amazing tool for that, by the way. It really just keeps you mentally so like quick and strong. Like, it's just, I don't know, very resilient, and it's very easy for me to learn new skills. But that is probably because I am constantly like putting myself out there into very uncomfortable situations where I cannot just sleepwalk my entire day. I have to be active, and I have to be really like, oh, okay, what's going on here? So that helps a lot as well. And it's literally like waking up, like being the sleepwalking, like 9 to 5 did that a lot to me. Like when I took that one job, I really had to just find new routes to work. I was literally like, I'm so fucking bored to go the same way to work every day. It's the same street. I can do it blindly. And so I just started using, like, okay, you know what? I'm going to take the train today, and then I walk from there to there. So I had to actually be active and look at street signs and kind of figure it out to, yeah, be aware and alive, kind of, because I was so bored to death that I could do everything blindly with my left hand. And that's not a good thing, because then you forget your skills. You kind of, if you're not training it, it's kind of like, oof, getting away. So yeah, but maybe that's just me. I don't know. But yeah, for me, I always knew, I have to, be active mentally, physically. I want to learn. I want to be conscious about my environment. And yeah, founding this business really like also put my skill set into a complete new level, and it comes with ups and downs. By the way, I'm gonna link. I have a mini series on YouTube where I just in 3 videos explain what happened in a little bit more detail, especially on Amazon. So that series only focuses on Amazon. I'm gonna link it if you want to check it out, because again, it comes with ups and downs, and I made it. But again, it took a long time to get there, especially with the little money I had. But it is possible. It is possible. But you have to make up with a lot of work. That must be clear. So, and time. Time is also a big factor, because just for advertising reasons, for instance, if you have a lot of money to throw at, advertising, that's amazing, beautiful, because then, it can learn, like the AIs learn so much faster, and you get the information you need in a way shorter period of time. If you don't have the money, I didn't have the money. I had like a tenner a day I could kick into that. That's nothing. But I let it run for a year. And then these two, where that I was really like, okay, I'm just gonna, I have to feed them first. You cannot expect wonders after 2 months, especially not with that budget. But after a year, those were my money making machines. Like these 2 advertisings, really. Like they drove in then all the sales, or a lot. And then obviously at that point I already had an organic rank that was like #1. So you don't spend too much money anymore on the advertising, because people click on your ad naturally because it's right there. So again, I'm just saying, so if people tell you it's not possible, it is possible, but it takes a lot more time and effort. So that must be clear. And again, if you have the choice, just throw money at it. Really, no one gives you like a medal or like a flower bouquet and says, oh, you did it the hard way, well done, now you don't have to pay tax money, and shit like that. No, it's not going to happen. No one says thank you. No one says, oh, you are such an amazing human being, thanks for like hanging in there. No one says that. No one gives a shit. So really, don't make it any more complicated. Don't feel like, if you have this pride where like, no, I can do it without help. That's what I thought too, like I can do it. But then in the end, no, it's way better to get help. Get help. No one can do it alone. Like even like people like to say that, yeah, if well, you have to, or I don't know, but that was my parents, like, well, you have to do it alone. Like if you want to do that, no, you have to do it. And it's actually, you don't have to do it alone. You don't have to do it alone, so don't believe that. And there is no harm in asking for help. The opposite, you really must, especially if you want to grow your business, if you want to also grow your network and your client base. Ask for help, collaborate with other people, and then just, brainstorm together, help each other out. Definitely, that's a big one on the way to success for sure. So now I'm actually feeling a little bit dizzy. Been talking so much and I've totally forgot to eat. So now I'm like, okay, I'm going to wrap it up here. But again, I will link my YouTube episodes I already have. I'm going to link them. Have a look if you like. And I promise you the next one is going to be a little more into what happened after that, like after selling on Amazon. I'm going to get into that and how I also kind of expanded my brand from just a few products or one product. I started with one product to like multiple products and now services and workshops as well. So I will definitely get into that as well. But for now, have a wonderful day, and I really hope you can get some inspiration or motivation from it, whatever you need. And just know, it is not streamlined, it isn't easy, and it's always ups and downs, and it is normal. There's nothing wrong with you if you are in a low phase right now and it's like you feel like a loser. No. You can get out of it, and again, it's normal. Ups and downs are totally normal. All good there. You don't have to be rich to become successful, but having money definitely helps. So, I'm just saying. And if you are annoyed with the regulations in your country, honestly, there are other countries out there. So if you're willing to put in the work and maybe learn the language, maybe, if you even prefer maybe living elsewhere in a different climate and it's so worth trying for sure. It's so worth just going there. And even if you end up living there for a few years and then go back, or maybe 10 years, or maybe forever, who knows? I'm just saying, it's worth it. It's definitely worth it. Yes, it's sometimes annoying. Yes, it takes a lot of work again, but I mean, it's your dream, it's your life. So, just opportunities, you guys. That's all I'm saying. All right, then. Have a good one. I will just catch up with you in the next one. Bye. I hope you enjoyed this week's episode and found exactly what you needed from it. If you would like to support my mission, don't forget to follow the podcast and leave a 5-star review. I appreciate your guys' support massively. For more, head over to my website at greenplanetcosmetics.com, where you will find free content, my online workshops, and of course, my signature expert class. If you are feeling called to dive deeper, I also offer one-on-one sessions and intensive packages. Just reach out to me directly. And last but not least, if you have any further questions, business or lifestyle related, or if you would like to hear more about my story, don't hesitate to ask. I would love to hear from you and weave your questions into my future episodes. Now, thanks so much for tuning in, and I will catch you in the next one. Bye.